Good evening and welcome to Mental Health Matters After Hours with me, Dr Audrey Tang. This is the show where we tackle all things mental health and well-being. On tonight's show, we have Martina Kornett. She is a wellbeing therapist, she is a sports scientist, and she's also a professional dancer. And we're going to look at resilience in the face of competition. Let's head over to the main studio. Martina, welcome to Mental Health Matters. It's such a pleasure to have you here. You are a competitive ballroom dancer, and by the very nature, that's got to be a roller coaster of hope, of hard work, of disappointment, setbacks, joy. Yeah. I mean, how important is it to look after our mental health, whatever the industry, but when there is competition?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. It's actually, I feel these days everything is competitive, not just a competitive sport or a competitive dance event. It's like your whole life seems to be a competition these days.
That's true, yeah.
So mental health, or I always like to call it more mental well-being, because I always find it's a little softer and it's a little bit more something you want to achieve and you want to work on, as if mental health is like, oh my God, if I'm not healthy, then I'm unhealthy and then I'm possibly, you know what I mean?
Very much.
So, yes, of course, in the dance world, it's a roller coaster. It surely is. Of course, not if you're the champion and you 10 years win the world championship in a row. And this is a little bit less, still exciting, but on a different scale. For the normal, average, happy dancer, it can be quite up and down. And yes, we really have to learn, because not everyone knows it. Some people have a good feeling of what's my balance and how much I can do.
True.
When do I need to rest? When do I need to do something else and distract myself? But other people just push and push and push and push, and they get so into it that really they need to learn to look after themselves and literally self-care.
Yes. Self-care is a key aspect of the work that you do, and certainly the work you do with dancers as well. So as a coach, perhaps, what if you love to dance or you love to do whatever it is you want to do, but that pressure and that competition just isn't for you?
But carry on and push through is always a good tactic, I feel. The more you do it, the less daunting it is, actually.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah, it's like they tell people who are afraid of flying to fly more, and so if you're afraid of competing, just do more competitions. I always think that's really a good thing, because once you do it and you do it again and again and again, you kind of, you really do get into it, and it's less scary because you know the dress fits, you know your partner is nice, and okay, the adjudicators, you have no influence, but everything you can control, you can actually do, and then it makes you feel confident to do it. But if you're really scared, and we have students as well who have been dancing for years and still get quite nervous, and they get that nervous that they actually forget their routines, their steps. They literally have blanks and blackouts because they are so nervous.
Wow.
And there we have to intervene and really try. I mean, our students are very lucky because they have us as a package deal, and obviously I can do a lot with them and go through things and try to improve it. But if you only have a dance teacher or a dance coach who's really only trained in teaching you how to dance, in the dance world, the teachers are not necessarily all-rounders. They might pick up things and say, oh yeah, I'm almost a psychologist because I'm talking to my students all the time, but actually they're not formally trained, and it's not part of what dance teachers have to do in order to become a coach or a teacher.
So Martina, I think you said something really interesting there about how sometimes students do come with psychological issues and dance coaches are not necessarily trained in that, but of course you yourself are, which is wonderful. Why do you think that being able to understand psychology, being able to help people with self-awareness is so important, especially in today's world.
It's super important, definitely, because self-awareness is really central for resilience. And if you want to be, and resilience is super important because you need to bounce back and you have to have the ability to kind of regulate your emotions and then recover and come back, which is like really essential when you do, I guess, any type of sport or performance related profession, probably in any other profession the same, because not everywhere it never goes smoothly everywhere. So it's good to have a bad work meeting and then next time you think, oh, but now I have recovered and I come back stronger. But this is an attitude, and you need to really learn to that doesn't also come natural to some. Maybe some people are naturally more resilient and they're just, you can't kill them, basically. They just keep coming back.
Usually the nasty ones. No, that's so true. That's so true.
So how, in your career, how have you personally dealt with setbacks?
So I think I was very lucky in my earlier years as a competitor because it actually did go really rather well. And that was nice. So with my very first partner back in Germany, we were apparently quite good, according to the adjudicators anyway. And we had good results from when we started off and when we were still like only under 18 and then under 21. And that, of course, builds a lot of confidence and
Absolutely.
And then it becomes easier. You start believing a little bit more in yourself. When you have better results, I think it's easier. Of course, if you're starting off and then it never really goes well and you're always the one who gets kicked out in the very first presentation round and you never make it to the final and never make it onto the podium. But then on the other hand, is it really just about winning? I mean, it's also taking part and being part of something and enjoying something. And it's literally something which has always, in competitive dance, actually, that's why I don't adjudicate. I do adjudicate. I don't enjoy adjudicating as much because I really just want to watch the dancing. I really just want to enjoy it and see what everyone has on offer rather than having to say, oh, you are better than you are. And I sometimes find it really sad that we have to do that.
Oh, Martina, it is why we love having you. And Martina is one of our resident experts as well, and she always joins us with her little mindfulness tips, and it's just so warming and lovely. You're staying with us. We'll be back just after this. A world without the arts is one without confidence, creativity and community, and yet funding has been reduced every year. Arts programmes have been shown to benefit social inclusion and well-being, particularly for marginalised groups, with projects fostering a sense of belonging, cultivating mutual understanding, and breaking down social barriers and isolation. Participation in arts programmes can help boost confidence and open doors to opportunities that may otherwise be inaccessible. Click Arts Foundation offers grants up to £2,000 for grassroots arts projects twice a year, with our community arts experience trustees meticulously scoring each project on impact and sustainability. To date, we have supported craft and visual arts projects, dance, drumming for well-being, and preservation of heritage and culture. If you share our passion, not just for maintaining the arts themselves, but contributing to the many benefits it can bring, please consider making a donation to Click Arts Foundation registered charity.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters After Hours, where we have Martina. We're talking about resilience in competition. So when you have a really great season, how do you stay grounded and how do you learn from your success?
When you have a really great season, of course, you're flying and you think you're invincible. It's fabulous. It's a great feeling if you feel what you put in, the work you put in the dance studio and outside the studio, all your training and everything comes together and you really get good results and it gets noticed as well, because you see our I don't even want to call it sport, our art form is being judged, and it needs to be noticed that and rewarded, really, what we offer on the dance floor. Every couple who enters a competition does the same. They all put the same preparation in, maybe some more and some less, but really everybody brings something to the table, and still it's a very tough job for the judges sometimes to differentiate between this one couple who is winning and the other one who is maybe sixth in the final and the one who doesn't make the final and is only seventh or eighth or 12th. That doesn't mean they are not good. They're also all very, very good dancers. It's just, it's relative, because you have to compare who you have on the dance floor, and you only compare with who is there on that day, in that competition, in that moment. It's not, this is the better dancer, but on this day, amongst these couples, this is the result. So it's sometimes really hard to grasp, and even as a competitor, sometimes you take it personal, and that would always be my first top tip to overcome setbacks is don't take it personal.
Just that point there that you made about how on this day these are the results.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yes, and it's something that competitors should always hold in their mind, shouldn't they? I do love that. Yeah. So on the other hand then, how would you stop yourself becoming complacent with a lot of success?
Because success is great, but you still have to be clear that it's relative, and keep it in perspective, because some success, it doesn't mean I'm perfect or I'm there is no such thing as perfection in dance. You might feel it sometimes and think, oh my God, I think I'm going to be perfect soon. But you're never really perfect, because there's always something to do, something to develop, something to improve. And I think you just have to stay humble and stay a dancer amongst the other dancers, and not elevate yourself just because you have better results than others.
Is that better results? I love that. And I think that leads me to this next question of how do you balance that competitive drive with the fact that you're dancing against your friends, a community that supports you, a community that you know everyone's name? How do you do that?
Yeah, because we only compete on the dance floor. It's really as simple as that. Everyone does the training, everyone puts the preparation in. You walk onto the floor, you have all your mind totally set and clear, you have your goals set for that event, and then you just do it, and you do what you do the best you can, and the rest is not really in your hands, because then there are 5 or 7 or 11 or 25 judges standing on the dance floor, and you have to just leave it up to them to decide. There is nothing more you can do, actually.
This is why we love you, Martina, because you're so honest and so open about this. And I think this is actually really important, but it's also really refreshing to hear a professional, top of your field, being able to talk in this way. So we're really grateful. Yeah. So also with that idea of getting complacent, we can also be our own worst critic, and we can get off the dance floor, and even though it's just the results, and even though we put the training in, that little voice in our head is going, it's just not good enough, you need to do better, that wasn't perfect. How do we manage that negative cycle of thinking if things don't go as well as we'd have hoped?
Yeah, it can be difficult. I mean, we always hope it will go well. Ideally, we don't leave it up to hope. Ideally, we are so well prepared that we just know, and we're confident that what we have rehearsed and trained and practiced we can deliver. That would be the ideal kind of scenario, that you walk to the floor and you just know, okay, I've done all this. I do it every day. I do it one more time in my costume today, and that's all there is to it. But you can't rely on hoping. I always tell that my students when they say, "Oh yeah, I'm practicing this step and this group, and it still doesn't really." But hopefully in the comp it will work out. And I'm like, no, don't. That would be very fortunate if that was the case. So if you can't do it 10 out of 10, then clearly you won't be able to do it in the competition. So the hope is, in German we say hope always dies last. So yes, you can hope, but it's not going to be enough for you. You shouldn't be relying on hope. You have to be very clear, with very clear, realistic goals, and your coaches, your teachers should help you with that.
Yes, and you put the work in, and that's what it is. I love that. And it's true, hope is the last to die, isn't it? That's the thing. So you already gave us one brilliant tip. What are some of your top tips for overcoming a setback?
So yeah, I said it's definitely don't take it personal, and don't beat yourself up or your partner. Or if anyone, beat your partner up, not yourself.
Get your friend to do it.
I would say take it back to the drawing board. Watch your performance back if it's possible, if you have a video, or take the feedback from your coaches or from other friends or family or people who have watched you perform, and then just reflect on it and take that and make changes, make adjustments, and keep practicing, keep working on it, just keep improving it, because if you deliver a better, let's call it, product on the floor, eventually the judges will notice you and will say, oh wow, well, they really have improved now. So yes, it's brilliant. Also, to keep a work-life balance, I would always say to people, just walk away from it for a little bit, just cool off, just take a break, take a pause, do something fun or positive, and just take a moment, and then go back and implement all the new changes, and see how the next outing goes.
I love that. Oh my goodness. I mean, we're going to let you think about that for a while. Martina's staying with us. We'll be back just after this. Martina, it's really great to talk with you. As I say, your honesty, your openness, but your huge amount of experience really shows. And I think, although we're talking about professional dancing, any profession can learn from everything that you're saying. So let's talk about the different types of resilience that we might need.
Yeah.
Because you were a ballerina, you were a performance dancer before you became a competitive dancer. And is that mental resilience as a performer different to the mental resilience as a competitor? Because I think anyone in any business, it's almost when you're under pressure, there's a certain thing that you might need. When you're trying to maintain your position as market leader, it's something else. Is there a difference between the two?
I don't think there is much in it, but it's just different, because when you perform to the audience. You, of course, have a certain standing in your group, like in your ensemble or wherever, like if you're in a theater or in the opera house, so you have a certain standing, you have a certain, if you're maybe the principal or you're maybe just a soloist, or I'm saying just soloist, it's pretty good to be a soloist. But that it's in that sense a little different because you don't get judged in that matter. But of course, you have art critics or or people doing write-ups and feedback about performances, and you might not like to read what they write about you. So it is a little different, but in terms of resilience, I don't actually think it is, because it's the exact same thing. If it doesn't go well, no matter if you feel it doesn't go well or if people from the outside seem to think it didn't go well, you have to learn and get the ability to just regulate your kind of take it a notch down, regulate your emotions, just adapt to the new information and situation, and then you have to be able to get back up, recover, and come back stronger, as I would always say. And that is really something which, again, as we said at the beginning, mental well-being, you need it almost now in everything, because the world has become quite a competitive place in work and life, and almost do people still have hobbies? They really just do I think they do that. Maybe do a knitting cycle or circle or something, like a book club, or where it's really not competitive. But I feel life is just on the fast track for most people in any profession, in any life. And so resilience is important. It's a soft skill. So all our soft skills we have to work on it. It's self-development. And some people can work on it and develop these things for themselves and research and think, oh, I should be more aware of this. And there's the self-awareness. Or you see someone because you feel you're not really making the progress, and you're very feel overwhelmed and a bit unsure how to handle it, and then you might be better off maybe seeing this performance coach in your theater or outside, a counselor or a sports psychologist or someone who will give you professional assistance and get you through whatever it is you're struggling with. So on this note, I hope you don't mind, I just quickly throw in that I'm actually writing a little book at the moment. And that is exactly about these type of things. So performance, pressure, performance enhancement, how we deal with it, which skills do we need. So basically how a dancer will maintain their well-being throughout their career and beyond, even beyond when they retire and not compete anymore. What do they do? What transferable skills do they have that can take to other future work endeavors?
Well, that's so much about resilience as well, and I can't wait. So as soon as that book's written, then you're back on this show. We're going to be sharing that, because
I'm still writing.
No, but it's going to be so important for anyone in any line of professional work. And not only do we have to think about our mental health, but we have to think about our physical health as well. So again, how do you support dancers when it comes to things like nutrition and getting the right amount of sleep and exercise, which also businesses will need? Because we need to do this and look after ourselves physically to carry on doing what we love doing.
Yes. I mean, physical health. At the moment, I feel the dancers are in charge of that themselves. They kind of think, okay, I have to look good. I go to the fitness studio, I do my body sculpting class, and I do a bit of core strengthening, and I do my cardio exercises and my stretches for flexibility. And yes, I've done this. There is not so, again, the coaches we have within the dance, they concentrate on the dance, on teaching and coaching dancing. In my time competitive time, we were pretty left alone with how we look after our physical health. No one spoke about mental health or well-being at all. This is only something which really started kicking in maybe in the last 10, 15 years, that it's really actually, that people actually talk about it. Yes, nutrition, another part of how we can hopefully stay physically well and healthy. My degree is sports science, so I would always almost think that every professional sports coach should have at least a basic training in sports science.
Yes.
So then you learn how do I plan training? What can nutrition do for me? How does it work with work and rest, and how much rest is actually needed? And you hear all these stories even in other sports from little Irish dancers or ice skaters, and they have fractures, they have whatever, and the coaches put them back onto the ice rink. And then at some point they injure themselves so badly that it's literally career ending. And this is a problem. So in my mind, and I never want to say that our coaches are not good coaches. We had fantastic coaches. They taught us everything we know when it comes to dancing. But I really think it would benefit, everyone would benefit, if there was a little bit more support, even also in all these matters which surround a professional athlete, or even if it's an amateur dancer, but they dance on the same high level. So I think, I don't want to tread on anyone's toes, but I think in any sport, in any performing arts, the advisors who are around the performers or competitors have to be really knowledgeable.
Yes, and Martina's work with International Dancing Minds is all about that mental health and well-being of the dancer.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, you talk so much sense. So sometimes as a professional or a competitor, or even as just someone who puts themselves out there, there will be a critique of people in that position. And sometimes it's just mean. People just take the opportunity to be mean. Would you just advise just not reading anything, just avoiding those comments? Or how would you protect yourself from people just being nasty?
I think it's a very individual choice how you deal with it. I know I have friends who are actors, musicians. They don't read their write-ups. They don't even watch their own movies. But they don't like to see themselves. They don't want to know in that sense. And that's their way of dealing with it. I think you can learn out of criticism as long as it is constructive criticism.
Yes, exactly.
But if it's plain being nasty and mean and insulting, then I think just forget it. Even if you read it or hear it, just don't take it personal. You just have to believe in yourself and trust your own gut and know who you are, what you do, what you stand for, and don't let this get to you. But again, that's resilience.
Yeah, indeed. And confidence as well, to a certain extent. Yeah. So you mentioned before that competitors, when they're not on the floor, they're it's a community and people are very supportive of each other. But if there is any infighting, how would you manage that?
I have honestly never personally experienced maybe a little, that you think, oh yeah, this person always kind of doesn't like me, and sometimes it's in your head as well.
True.
I think if you are kind and helpful and friendly, and you treat every person the same, and it doesn't protect you that people are not nasty, and you can't please everyone. There will always be someone who doesn't like you, and you can bend yourself backwards and stand on your head, and that person still won't like you, because it just happens. Some people just naturally don't like each other. So, but they don't have to be nasty and insulting and make you feel belittled in any way. But yes, you have bullies. You have them in any context. You have them in schools. You have them at workplaces. Of course, there are always people who have to make themselves bigger by making other people smaller, and that's sad. But it's also just something we have to learn to not accept but deal with, because these people are around, and you can find them anywhere.
Yeah. And so this would kind of cover this as well, partly as well. What are your top tips then to keep yourself mentally well through your profession?
I would say don't let the pressure get to you. Don't put any pressure onto yourself. There is enough outside pressure. Maybe your partner expects something from you. Your coaches say, oh yeah, I hope you do well. And maybe you have sponsors or any supporters who give you money for lessons, and they want you to do well, and that can be a big pressure to live up to all these people's expectations. But I try not to let it get to you. You just have to kind of learn that there is you, and then there is the outside world. And but it is very difficult. I suffered from anxiety attacks when I was younger, in competitive years, especially when you have like a new partner or something, and you don't know really, you have no experience with this dance partner, or it can be really, really, really overwhelming. But you grow up and you mature and you kind of learn, no, this is me and this is my life, and this has nothing to do with what I do there. So don't mix it up and think the whole world ends just because maybe one performance or one competition hasn't quite gone to plan. So that's definitely one. Trust your training, trust the process. You know you can do it. You do it every day. You just have to trust and have the confidence that you're doing the right thing. I think that's also really important. And just protect your own space, protect yourself, stay in a good balance, and say no if you have to.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Protect your own space.
Yeah.
Martina, it is just such a pleasure chatting with you. And thank you also for your resident expert segments. Where can we find you with your socials and on LinkedIn and so on?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn on my name, Martina Kornett. On Instagram, you find me on Expanse Counseling and Coaching. And then, we have, of course, our website for our event, for our ice bowl competition. You find personal information about me there on the page for the organizers' information as well, if you want to read up about my credentials or my education experience. That's all there. And yes, the book will come, but I'm not quite there yet.
Martina is one of our most credentialed guests on this show, seriously, and with so much experience as well. Do look her up. She is fabulous. We'd love to have you back, especially when the book comes out. Let's head over to Test the Trend. Today in Test the Trend, I thought I'd pick up on something that our guest Martina has said about the nasty comments and people just being mean. People will say things. Everyone has an opinion. I'm not saying don't listen to advice and constructive criticism, but sometimes if you think someone's being nasty, call them out. Calling them out doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be mean. You can simply say something along the lines of, sorry, could you repeat that? What did you just say? And then if they do repeat that, then you'll know that perhaps they meant to say what they said, and then you can ask them a little bit further. So this week, try calling somebody out, see what happens. Welcome back to the last part of Mental Health Matters After Hours. Martina is such a fab guest. She's so energising.
And she's so knowledgeable,
Yeah.
and top of her game, as you say. So the experience she's got is just invaluable.
Exactly, and honest. And I think
Yeah.
for me, that's something that really comes out of our conversations. If we can be honest with ourselves and kind of, as a coach, you meet people where they are, not where they think they are or where they think they want to be. It's about knowing where you are. I think that's a really good start for anything.
Yeah.
What have you taken from today?
I think just the inner confidence you have can kind of take you anywhere, really. Even if it's not, even if the confidence doesn't make you the best on the day, you still need to have that confidence in yourself to be able to have the resilience and not to worry about what other people might say about you or what might be going on. It's just to focus on yourself and know that what you do is enough.
And also that you be realistic with the event itself. It is results on the day.
On that day, yeah.
Results on the day, performance on that day. It's not necessarily anything to do with who you are personally or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Which
Yes.
really came... She hammered that home. I think that was really important.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I loved that she said is don't take it out on your partner. And I get it.
Yes.
Because in a dance, it does rely on the other person as well. And because I think you've got so much trust in there, they are an easy target.
Well, absolutely. I used to do ballroom dancing in my 20s, and my partner would often say, "Oh, well, that went wrong because that was your fault." And it's easy to do that, isn't it?
Yeah.
When there's two of you. And obviously sometimes it probably was my fault, but equally
always.
Sometimes it probably was his fault, because it's a partnership at the end of the day. So you just accept it and move on and carry on.
Yeah, I think that is the message of today, and sometimes that's the first step to resilience. It is keeping calm, carrying on, because you know what you're doing is the right thing.
Yeah.
From Jude and myself, good night.